So now that you've had a bit of time to think about browsers and what they do and how they work, what we're going to do is go over JavaScript Basics. JavaScript is the programming language of the internet, and you're going to learn how to use it. Okay, so what I've done is I've opened the Faco malware from a few videos ago. If you haven't actually written this code, go back to the browser video and write the code, because we're going to use it as a starting point to talk about JavaScript. Now, if you don't remember, if I clicked out index.html, we made a little malware website for ourselves. What we're going to do is we're going to go to hacks.js, which is our JavaScript file, delete it and save it. We're going to get rid of the file because we don't need to look at that anymore. And then when you open index.html in Chrome, you're just going to see this blank website. Now, we don't care about the visuals. All we care about is pressing Control-Shift-I, getting to the Chrome DevTools, which is going to be a super useful part of what you're learning. And you're going to go to the console tab. The reason we're going to do this is because in JavaScript, you can go console.log and you can put something in there, so that console.log 7. And if I refresh the page, it's going to give me the number 7 in the log. So we're going to use this to talk about JavaScript. Now, the real basics. Programming languages have variables. Variables are just places where data is, okay? So you can go var x equals 7, and then you can go console.log x, and then there you go. Good for you. You got a variable. You printed 7 again. If you change x to 9, maybe that would have been better indicator that it worked. Now it's 9. Good. So in JavaScript, you can also do let. Instead of saying var, you can say let. And it does exactly the same thing for your level. It's got some subtle differences, but always use let, basically. Don't use var. Var is stupid. So we've got let, and we can start doing variables. Now, all programming languages generally can do basic math. So you can go let 9 plus 6 minus 9 times, 5 divided by 3, right? Yeah, let's go with that for now. And then we console.log x, .log x, like so. We do this, we reset it. Boom, we got 0. Why did we get 0? It doesn't seem like we should have gotten 0. That's weird. Well, it's probably because it's integers, I think. Or maybe it actually is 0. I don't think it is, though. So let's have a look. Did I accidentally make something that's 0? No. 15 minus 9 times 5. That definitely shouldn't be 0. Let's try doing 2 divided by 3. See what that gives us. Save. Boom. So we're at 0.66. Let's just ignore the whole 0 thing. I don't know why it was 0. There's probably a good reason. Anyway, so you can do math with your variables, right? And the way that this works is that, and this is kind of important, that's why I'm focusing on it, is that you have let x equal this, okay? And we'll do plus 4 divided by 5, let's say. Basically what happens in the execution of the program is we make a space in memory for x, we send that through the CPU, and then the CPU is told to put the result of this into x's space in memory. And then from then on, when you want to reference that space in memory, you just use the name that you gave it, right? So all we're doing, again, is sending stuff through the CPU, putting it in memory, etc. Numbers aren't the only things you can do. You can do strings as well. So you can go, hey, there's a string, boom, like that. We got a word, good for us. You can do Booleans, true or false. So true, false has special value in programming. It's that's how you do a lot of the logic. We'll get into that in a sec. And there's some other basic type. That's all you really need to know. You can also do something called an array. So an array is just a list of values. So you can go 7, 8, 9, 7, 6. So if we print x now like so, we've got this like list. I call it an array, but you could call it a list. You can call it whatever you want. And they're special because you can use this other syntax like this to actually get a value from the list. So if I go console.log x like this, the number I put in here is called the position, and and arrays are always start at index 0. So the first thing in it isn't the index 1. It's not position 1, it's position 0. So if you want to get the second thing, which is 8, you have to put 1. Bit annoying. Everyone gets annoyed at that when they start, but that's how it is. So that's arrays, and you can put anything in arrays, and I'm pretty sure in JavaScript you can literally put anything in arrays. Other languages don't let you do this, but with JavaScript you can just put different types. That's cool, I guess. And then the last thing you can also create is called an object. Now an object groups data together. So for example, an object uses the curly braces to start it instead of the square braces, but you have to give things names. So you go hello, let's say age. Age is 7, and then name is Timmy, right? Like so. And the difference between a object and an array is that you can index things again. You can get things at position, which we did with the array, but now you do it by word. So instead of going x at position 0, because this is an object, you go x at position age. And that's going to give you the age. So you see age, name, age 7, name Timmy. We got 7. Awesome. We're good to go. So now that we know that we can do stuff with objects, the next thing to understand is loops. And that is pretty much it. That's all we're really going to go over today. So you can make variables. In variables, you can put stuff. Now you actually want to do like interesting things. So let's say we make a variable. Let max equal 10. Let's say let min equal, let's not even say that. No, let's even do this. Let's do something else. Let's do this 4, 5, 6, 3, 2. So we've made ourselves an array. We want to iterate through that array, and we want to print all of these numbers. What you do is you go 4, let I equals 0, I is less than max dot length I++. Looks a bit complicated, but it's not too difficult. Let I equals 0 set something called I to 0. The loop will stop when this is reached. This condition is reached. So if I is less than, the loop will continue as long as this condition is true. So if I is less than max.length, and the length of max is 5, it will work. And then this part of the end says, once you've done one iteration of the loop, do something to I. And you know what? To make it a bit simpler, I++ means I equals I plus 1. Those are the same thing, I++ and I equals I plus 1. But basically, I gets changed. So if I go console.log max at position I, like so, I've written a loop, and you're going to see what it does. 4, 5, 6, 3, 2. Because I started at 0, right? 0 is less than the length, which is 5. So I do my iteration. What's max at position 0? It's 4. Great. Then I do I now equals I plus 1. Is I now equals I plus 1, which is 1. Is 1 less than 5? Yes, it is. Console.log max at position 1, which is 5. I now equals I plus 1, which is 2. Because I got switched to 1 last iteration, and now it's 2. Is 2 less than 5? Yes. Console.log max at 2, which is 0, 1, 2, 6. Right? So it's just looping through all of the different indices of this array. This is a very common pattern. I would tell you to play with it and make sure that you understand how it works. Another way to do this is with another kind of loop called a while loop. We'll say let I equals 0, like this, while I is less than max.length console.log I. What this is going to do, and then I++. I equals I plus 1. Let's do the way that most obviously makes sense. This should do exactly the same thing. So, no, don't log I. Log max at position I, right? This is the more important thing to do. Boom, like so. That's good. 4, 5, 6, 3, 2. That's because it's doing basically the same thing as the for loop was doing, only it's a different way to write that out. So you can do all kinds of things with loops. I'm not going to go through all of them. That's for you to explore. But loops are incredibly useful in programming because that's what allows you to do crazy amounts of calculation and computation without writing very much code at all. There's another thing called an if statement, okay? An if statement only happens if something is true. So we're going to say let x equal 7, like this. And we're going to say if x is greater than 5, then I want you to console.log, yeah, it's this, whatever this is, yes. Press play, see, we see it. Now if we say if x is greater than 10, no, it doesn't happen. That's because the if statement wasn't true, so it didn't get to that part of code. You can do greater than, you can do less than, you can do greater than equal, you can do less than equal. You can also do equal. Now, see that this is 2 equals, not 1. That's really important. So if you do x equals 10, it's only going to happen when it's exactly 10. So it's not 10. Let's see if it's 10 now. Press save. Go like that. Yes, it's 10. Good. So we have if statements. With an if statement, you can also do an else. An else is when it's not true. Do the else thing. So we go no. Boom. What's it going to be? Yeah, it's yes. Now, if I make that 9, what's it going to be? It's going to be no. So that's good. You can do an elif. Else if, something like that, right? I think that's right. Yeah, that's right. So else if is just another statement that you can put in. So you can go, okay, if it's 9, console.log woo. Okay, so is it 9? Do we get woo? Yes. If it's 10, do we get yes? Let's have a look. Yes, we do. If it's 1, what do we get? We get the other thing. Good. That's great. So that's like all the basic structures. The last thing that I need to show you is something called a function. So you might actually like want to make something complicated. Let's say you go console.log. We say let x equal 8. Then we go console.log number is 8 is x, like this, and then we say console.log x plus this is a great number plus x. We're using x a ton. Now let's say we want to do the same thing again with y. The only way we can do it is we create a y, we give it a number, and then we have to change all of these things to y now, which is really, really annoying because we're mostly doing the same thing. We're just changing out what the y, what the number is, which is now 17 instead of 8. So if I play that, we get all of these strings that are printing to the console. Now, what I want to do instead is make this easier, because if I wanted to do this 100 different times with 100 different numbers, then it gets really annoying because I've got to copy paste these 3 lines of code all the time, make a new variable, and then change all the variables inside the console.log to whatever they are. So what I'm going to do instead is this. I'm going to make a function, and we're going to say function print me stuff like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to put that code in here, and we're going to say y. Now what this has done is it's given us a snippet of code that's reusable. What I can do now is I can do this. You know what? To make this a bit simpler, I'm going to put num here because it's going to make it a bit clearer. You're going to get confused otherwise because I'm going to have y's all over the place. So we do this like so. Num, there we go. Bring that down here. We've got our function. So right now the function isn't going to happen. If I press play, nothing occurs because I've written a function, but I haven't used the function. You have to use a function, and using a function is called calling the function. If I want to call the function, you write its name. So print me stuff is a function. You open the brackets, and then you give it the arguments it wants. So it wants a num. I'm going to give it x. If I press save and go, you see num is 8. 8, this is great, right? Now if I want to do it with y, all I need to do is do the same thing again, but with y. Really, really useful. But now I can combine everything that I know. I can say while let I equals 0, okay? While I is less than 10, it's less than 10, I plus plus, because we got to make sure that, no, I equals I plus 1, we'll do the simple way, the simple looking way, like this, I equals I plus 1. And then we're going to say if I is less than 8, like this, we want to print stuff, I, let's print I. Otherwise, else, print console.log, I is greater than 8, like this. Now if I press play, we print that same thing all the way up to 7, and then I is greater than 8 happens 2 times. So that's it. That's going to be the crash course JavaScript. It only took 16 minutes, so that's actually kind of long still. But with what I just showed you, you can do a lot of stuff. Next time, we're going to talk about JavaScript data. I'll see you then.